All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope, again, you had an opportunity to at least take a little break from the computer, or an opportunity to maybe think about the morning session, and where we look more at the community college and what the community colleges are trying to achieve and in relation to our communities. And now we're going to look a little closer at what we're doing here at UCLA. So hopefully this can give you a glimpse of the type of communities that are waiting for you here. I think in many ways we're very fortunate at UCLA. I definitely haven't been at other campuses as well, and knowing that that this type of work is definitely an intentional type of work. And what I mean by that is that it really takes the effort of the community to ensure that we are being provided with the tools, the spaces, the practices, and most importantly, I think it's the people who are behind it, all of this effort. I remember the director of the Academic Advancement Program at UCLA, which is the equivalent of the EOPNS programs at the community college. When people will tell him that, you know, it was great, all the services that this program offered, and they wish they had that at their university. One of the things he will always say is, well, they just don't fall out of the sky. It definitely is, you know, an effort that people put into, and it's an effort that is born out of necessity. It is an effort that is born out of a sense of justice, and it is an effort that is definitely born out of love, for sure. So I'm happy that we get to be in this space to share these amazing programs and the people behind them. And I want to say thank you to Aurelia, because she's the one that was diligently reaching out to folks. So thank you so much, Aurelia. And I'm going to pass it on to you now at this point.
Thanks, Auntie. And also, can you make Andy co-host? I'm not sure why I don't have abilities to do that. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. So
Hi, Andy.
So we really wanted to have an opportunity for you to learn about the resources offered to you at UCLA. And even if you're not interested in coming to UCLA, we wanted you to know what resources are generally available at various institutions. So when you're meeting with the other institutions, other representatives, you know what questions to ask because you're familiar with some of the resources at other universities. So we want to make sure that you are aware of the opportunities and resources that are offered to you even before you transfer, so you know where to go, who to ask for, and where to kind of find your space on campus. So we're going to first start with the LGBTQ Resource Center. So Andy and Bree, I think you should be co-hosts now. Feel free to take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aurelia and Santi, and thank you, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here. We're just going to do a little bit of a screen share, and we'll introduce ourselves. So as was shared, my name is Andy Cafino. I use the pronouns he, him, and his, and I serve as the director of the UCLA LGBTQ Campus Resource Center.
And hello, everyone. My name is Bri Damasio. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm currently the graduate and student intern. I'm also an upcoming second-year PhD student in the higher ed program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bri. So we're so thrilled to be here with you today. We have a bit of information that we'd like to present. I also just want to shout out the folks who put this together, all of the staff, all of the students who supported this. Really wonderful resource here for all of you. So Bri, why don't you get us started with our land acknowledgement?
Yeah, thank you. So as we begin today's virtual program, we would like to first acknowledge the land that our physical space resides. So a land acknowledgement is a formal statement that recognizes and respects Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of this land and the enduring relations that exist between Indigenous peoples and the traditional territories. And with that, we'll move into our overview of today's program or our presentation. So we'll be highlighting our center, specifically our pro staff, our physical space, so what it would look like if you were on campus, some resources and services that are offered through the center, and then we're going to highlight our QT BIPOC, so our queer, trans, Black, Indigenous, people of color student experience project. And then we'll go into a little bit about resources that are more geared towards queer, trans, and Black, Indigenous students, and then also trans and non-binary students on campus. I'll pass it over to Andy.
Thank you so much, Bri. So I'm going to share a little bit about our staff and kind of move us through some of these pieces that Bri just mentioned. And I want to say, you know, we're here to share resources about health, about how this connects to QT BIPOC student experience, about how this connects to UCLA. And I see our center, we're really a hub of resources for UCLA students, staff, and faculty. And so I think that our center and the work that we do to support our student communities, and our students are really at the center of this work. You can see here on the slide, it says we have over 10 undergraduate and graduate student interns. Bri is one of them, who help really move our center, run our center. We believe that one of our core values is wellness. And so I see everything that we do as an extension of the health and well-being of all of our communities here. And so we're going to present about some specific resources, but I really consider all of our center and the work that our students in our center do as contributing to the health and well-being of each of you and our campus community. So here's our professional staff. We have 3 professional staff. Myself, I shared my intro a moment ago, Liz Lopez, who is our assistant director, as well as Minnie Esquivel-Copar, our administrative coordinator. And so these 3 are our professional staff who help run the center, but also in coordination and collaboration with 10 amazing undergraduate and graduate interns who really support our team. We also have a couple of team of committees that are essentially student volunteers that also help work on the outreach efforts of our center, as well as the advocacy efforts of our center. So we are very student-led and student-driven, I'm proud to say. So in addition to that, we do have a physical location on campus. And so if you ever come to see us at UCLA, you will find that we are located right in the heart of Bruin Plaza, so right in the middle of campus. We're right across from the Student Health Center, the Ash Center. You may be familiar with the Bruin Bear that is in the center there. So we're right there in the heart of campus. And we have a beautiful center space. We have a lounge for folks to hang out. You can see some pictures of this on the screen. There are study tables. We have drop-in counseling that we host through our center. We also have a cyber center, as well as an amazing library that's actually the largest of its kind on a college or university campus. So a lot of great resources. Oftentimes students are just hanging out in our space, having lunch, doing studying or hanging out with folks, or participating in one of our student groups. Just to give you a sort of an overview of the resources that we provide in our center. We have a bunch of resources, and we would definitely encourage you to check out our website after this session so you can really dig in. But as I mentioned, we have drop-in counseling. So we have professional counselors from Counseling and Psychological Services who provide specific hours for LGBTQIA+ students. We also work with our partners in financial wellness, case management, and there's also a program called Queer Peer Counseling, which is a peer-to-peer support space. Our center also offers scholarships for transfer students, for continuing students. That's another great resource for folks. And as I mentioned, we have over 10 student interns who work in our center. So we're also a really great place to find employment and get that kind of community support as a paid intern. We also provide a number of volunteer opportunities if you are interested in supporting our center's outreach efforts, or if you're interested in LGBTQ advocacy, there's another great resource for you to connect there. I would also encourage you to check out our website, section of our website, that we're actually going to go into this a little bit more in depth later on in the session, but we have a whole host of resources that relate to the healthcare, well-being, and just navigating campus if you identify as trans and or non-binary.
Now we're going to move into some of our signature events. So these are just some of the main events that our center hosts throughout the years. Our biggest one coming up this fall would be Cookies and Queers, which will be on September 30th, 3 to 5 p.m. at the Wilson Plaza. It is an amazing experience to be able to meet queer student leaders, other students like you who are incoming, who are new, who want to connect with others given like everything that has happened. So that would be a great event if you are enrolling with us in the fall. Other events to come also are Welcome Back Cuties, Take a Drag, and then the Lavender graduation as a way to celebrate our LGBTQ grad. And then, so the next one we want to highlight is this very special project that came out of a student. And so Vanessa Worry was really the one spearheading this project. Is the Cutie BIPOC Student Experience Project. And this is a peer-driven needs assessment of UCLA's LGBTQ graduate and undergraduate students, more specifically Black, Indigenous students of color. And really, this project has really helped revamp a lot of our programs and services in our center, and continues to, as we expand and as we grow, we'll continue to help revamp other programs across the university. And so we're still at the beginning stages of reporting this year's data set that we collected. And so I'm really, really excited for this next year as we present our findings to our key stakeholders. And so with that, we'll lead into some resources that are more geared towards queer, trans, Black, Indigenous students of color. Yeah, so you can find all this information on our website. If you Google UCLA LGBTQ Pride Center, it'll pop up. And there we have a wealth of information that goes over more Cutie BIPOC specific resources in the different communities, so like the Latinx community, Indigenous community, the Black community, and so on and so forth. We also highlight student organizations like Black Queer Alliance and others on our website. And then of course, we highlight conferences that are here to help support you in your journey as you develop your scholarly identity, as you go through UCLA and build your networks, like the Cutie POC conference and the Blackout conference.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Andy will go over trans and non-binary.
Awesome, so I'm really proud to say that UCLA has some really amazing resources for trans and non-binary community members. And so there's a lot of different resources, but I'll just highlight a couple. So we have, I mean, from the highest level of the institution, the University of California as a whole is really supportive of trans and non-binary students. And so you'll see this throughout the institution. And so trans folks and non-binary folks are protected by all of the university kind of protections. We also have things like a preferred name policy. So what that means is that if you as a student enroll here and you wanted to update your name in the university record, actually as well as your gender, you can do so. Either at the point of admission, you can indicate your name or your gender marker, and then throughout your time at UCLA, you can go ahead and update your name and update your gender marker within the university records. You can get an updated Bruin ID card so that it matches your name. And so that's really important. It's a seamless process so that it's very easy for you to make sure that your name is popping up in the university systems across UCLA. In addition to that, we have some of the most comprehensive trans-inclusive health insurance benefits through the UC SHIP, which is the University of California's health insurance benefits. And a lot of you can actually see it here. There's a graphic of some of what the plan covers. It's one of the most inclusive plans when it comes to college or university campuses, and actually even just looking on a whole nationwide at other even like state insurance coverage, as well as private insurance coverage through employees. It's really comprehensive. So it includes trans-affirming care, it includes hormone replacement and therapy, it includes things like electrolysis. So it's incredibly comprehensive. Something that's not listed here is there's also a group called the Trans Wellness Team that I actually am a part of that group. And basically what that group does is it's a connection of folks who support students on the medical as well as mental health care side. And there's also community members like me who identify as trans and non-binary, and then people who are supporting work of supporting the trans folks on campus on this committee. And they get together once a month to check in and ensure that the coverage that we have is inclusive, if there's more that we can contribute, or to enhance the healthcare experience of trans non-binary folks. So really great resource. And I would say if you're exploring other campuses and you're trans and non-binary and looking into potentially different opportunities you may have to access this kind of care, I would definitely look into what are the healthcare benefits of the insurance carriers for the institutions you're looking at, because this could be a big deciding factor. I work with a lot of trans students who say that they actually attend UCLA to access this kind of resource. So it's really wonderful. We also have things like gender inclusive restrooms across the campus. So we have single stall lockable restrooms all across campus, over 300 of them. And there's also some multi-stall all gender restrooms across campus, and those are continuing to be built out. So access to a lot of gender inclusive restrooms, as well as gender inclusive housing. So if you're seeking to live in a housing arrangement and you want to be placed, for example, with people of a particular gender, or you want to be placed regardless of gender, or maybe you really want to be placed with another trans person, you can actually work with our housing office to ensure you get the placement that you're looking for. So really great resources. There's a link here that links to our website. There's a section called Trans at UCLA, and this will give you comprehensive information about all of these different things and more. So if you have specific questions, I would direct you to go to that page because you may find your question is answered there. But if you have other questions or you want more specific information, I've also included my email address here on the slide, which is A and then my last name, COFINO @lgbtq.ucla.edu. I support a lot of trans non-binary students through a lot of these different areas. So if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. With that, we're going to pause and thank you so much for spending some time with us and inviting us to be a part of today's discussion. Please feel free to follow us at UCLA LGBTQ on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Very active on social media. You can also sign up for our Brew and Pride listserv. If you sign up for that, you'll get one email a week during the academic year to learn more about what we do. Here's my email address again. Feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. And Bri, I'll leave it to you to close out.
No, thank you, Andy, for closing us out. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Andy and Bri. We really appreciate your presentation. It was very informative. And thank you so much also for talking about the healthcare resources offered to students. Before we transition to the next presenter, are there any questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. No questions? All right, thank you so much, Andy and Bri. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. All right, so now we're going to transition to the next presenter, Holly. She's the representative for the LGBTQ minors. So we will be talking about that and all the resources that they have to offer for students who are interested in pursuing that minor. So go ahead, Holly. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and always a pleasure to see everyone at the Resource Center as well. So hello, everyone. My name is Holly Seeley, pronouns she, her, and I am what's known as the Student Services Advisor for the LGBTQ Studies minor at UCLA. And it is somewhat of a unique program. LGBTQ Studies, unfortunately, doesn't have its own department at UCLA, but we have what's called an interdepartmental minor. So that means that a lot of different faculty on campus have come together to provide students with a minor that is made up of a lot of different classes from different departments all over campus. It's what we would call interdisciplinary or interdepartmental, as I said before. So I'm going to get into it with you guys with a quick little PowerPoint and show you what it's all about and how it can be a really big asset to any major that you choose to study on campus at UCLA. All right, so again, Holly Seeley, she, her. I'm the Student Services Advisor. You can consider me the academic advisor for the minor. And my email is right there, but I'll provide it again at the end of my presentation. So the minor is 7 courses total. There are 4 core courses that you take that are offered by LGBTQ Studies. And then you also get to take 3 elective courses across a range of different departments. The core courses that you get to take in LGBTQ studies start with Intro to LGBTQ Studies, where you get to look at a wide range of perspectives on issues in the field from the point of view of the humanities, social sciences, and life sciences. You also, I'll come back to that second point because I really kind of want to round out with it. You also get to take topics in queer diversities and then topics in queer subjectivities, theories, and/or histories. Those 2 variable topics courses are taught basically every quarter by different instructors, and as you can tell, the topics change every quarter. It's a really interesting opportunity to take courses offered by faculty from different departments and also on cutting edge research related to that faculty and what they're currently working on. And typically also these courses are offered by current graduate students at UCLA. And this is where it really gets interesting. These are fellows, what we call them, graduate students working in different departments such as gender studies or even education. We even have someone from the history department teaching with us this coming year related to Chinese history and homoeroticism in Chinese art. So there's a lot of variation going on there. And you can even take something related to Chicanx literature and lesbian poetry. Lots of things that you can take to help complete these core courses that you take for the minor. Going back to that second bullet point though, this is my favorite part about the minor, LGBTQ institutions and organizations. This is a required class that you take in your junior or senior year where you get to do for about 10 hours a week an internship with an LGBTQ affiliated organization in Los Angeles. And it's part of a capstone kind of seminar component class as well that you do on campus. It's a really unique opportunity to take everything that you've learned as part of the minor and do work in the community and really just create a culminating research project out of it and really take that whole experience with you at the end of your academic career at UCLA and, you know, really walk away with something valuable. It's definitely in high demand. So we make sure that students in the minor get access to it first, but it is an unforgettable experience. And I think it's really the most important part because public service is becoming such an important part of the UCLA experience as well, that I'm really glad our minor has continued to evolve to reflect that as well. So moving on to the electives then, those 3 classes that you get to take to round out the minor. You can take those in all kinds of departments, and I've got a list here that you can see, and the topics on LGBTQ studies within those departments ranges as well. So you can see that in addition to the core courses that you're taking for the minor, you can build on what you want the theme of your studies within the minor to be in relation to your major, or maybe in relation to another minor, whether you're thinking of being in the life sciences for your major, or maybe in the physical sciences, or maybe being in anthropology or history. You can make this minor work for you however you would like to. It can complement your studies in any way you need it to, or simply just augment your personal interests as they relate to you and your own identity. I think another great aspect of this program is that we have an undergraduate research symposium called Q Scholars. Every year, minus last year, COVID made it a little bit difficult. We have a student panel that works with several faculty mentors to organize a conference in which undergraduates can showcase research based around LGBTQ studies and also queer studies related research and papers. So as it says here, it strives to give self-identifying LGBTQ plus students the opportunity to engage in and present research that focuses on these themes and issues, particularly such themes and issues that are not given an active platform in academia. It's something we're really looking forward to bringing back to campus in this upcoming academic year. And it really relies on active mentorship, as I said, between the faculty and the students, and also that important level of community between these upper level junior, senior students. So that's another aspect of the minor that I find really important, is that it's not just students all working towards completing their own minors, it's about building an academic community. I think it's really akin to something that you would find in a graduate student cohort. And so I really think we're preparing students in this minor for the type of academic community that they'll find later on if they were to proceed into higher, degree programs as well. It's really great prep for that in the humanities. All right, so I know that Aurelia did want me to mention scholarships. So I do want to quickly say that because LGBTQ studies is a freestanding minor, We don't unfortunately offer our own departmental scholarships, but I just want to give a quick shout out to the Undergraduate Scholarship Resource Center. That is going to be where all of you will go to look for scholarships that are specific to any type of student population that you're wanting to, look for support under. That's going to be your resource for that. But you are always welcome to come to me to help point you in the right direction, or especially if you're interested in the minor, I would love to speak with you. You can check out our website. I've got the information right here. And then again, I will put my email in the chat, and I hope that I can see all of you on campus one day. I would love to see each and every one of you. And thanks again, Aurelia, for inviting me to come speak. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Holly. We appreciate your time being here. Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Holly? No questions. All right. Well, thank you so much, Holly, for being here.
Just really quickly, before Holly, thank you again for joining us today. I was wondering if potentially in the fall, or maybe the later on in the year, there are a number of faculty members who have reached out from the community college that were interested in just kind of like seeing how to develop a coursework around LGBTQ. So I'm not sure if you would be the right person maybe to like connect them with. But yeah, I know there's one community college, I think, that already developed a course. So and as we're moving in that direction, I think just the ability to articulate and maybe look at how those courses may meet some of those requirements might be something to start thinking about as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I am a great place to start because I have access to syllabi, and I'm likely to answer an email faster than faculty, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Or to nudge faculty a little bit faster.
No, it's true. It's
yeah.
So thank you.
Please, if any instructors are listening as well, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to be a coordinator between you and chairs in different departments who happen to be on our faculty advisory committee. I know exactly the right people to point you to, but I'm happy to be the liaison to get the ball rolling. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that you do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Holly. All right. I think we're moving on to our next workshop. Santi?
And now we're gonna highlight two more programs. So let me get the PowerPoint back up. Hold on. I got lost again in this screen. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. And look, I will cover this too. Luca?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So now I'll be talking a bit about UCLA's Transfer Pride Admit Weekend. UCLA Transfer Pride Admit Weekend is a unique program at UCLA that provides incoming transfers with opportunities to explore and learn about Bruin life, connect to on-campus resources available to new admits and students who are QT BIPOC plus, and learn more about the academic, professional, and social opportunities that UCLA offers. Earlier this year, TPAW was held virtually because of the pandemic, but regardless, we had an amazing time and we're still able to build community through week-long events, including presentations and panels, resource sharing by UCLA's LGBTQ Campus Resource Center, networking with Lambda alumni, and social hangout nights. In previous years, TPAW normally took place over a weekend where small groups of admins are paired with family heads who act as mentors and guide them through TPAW and Bruin life. All in all, TPAW allows new transfer students to start building community here at UCLA before starting classes in the fall and will prepare you for Bruin life. Next year, I'll be directing TPAW, so please check out our Instagram account to stay updated and connected. And I will put the Instagram account in the chat. So next, we also have the QT BIPOC space at UCLA. And essentially, we meet weekly throughout the quarters. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So we meet weekly throughout the quarters, and basically it's an intentional space where we build community, envision, and work toward our liberation and have a chance to decompress and enjoy creative expression. This space exists as a disruption to the white class's heteronormative standards of the institutions we are engaging with, and creates a means of coalition building between QT BIPOC on campus and in community. A lot of the weeks range from just doing activities such as, for example, learning how to create zines, sharing music with each other, to also mental wellness and physical wellness as well.
Okay. Thank you, Luca. And I believe most of the people from the panel are here, right? For the student panel, maybe, I think. We're going to move into that soon, but what I wanted to say is that this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of, you know, all the type of activities and I mean, like, I'm even finding out, like, just was it yesterday that I was like, there is this program in the School of Public Health also that focuses on these very specific communities. You know, and in particular with the way that the pandemic impacts our communities, I think understanding policies and understanding, you know, funding and all of the different ways in which we can create change in those communities, I think is also another aspect of our well-being. But again, you know, I'm here, I've been at UCLA for 1,000 years at this point, and I'm always finding something new, something exciting that is taking place. Another great program and just great resource here on campus is the film archives. So if you have heard of Outfest, we basically house pretty much their catalog of all the films, and we're talking films that go back way back. Ajana was during the this just past oh my god, sorry, like blanking about during the week, the admit week, show a film that was you know, as she was talking about Cooper Donuts, right? That is highlights some of those things as well. And just there's so much history and her story and them story, right? That has been documented in film, and it's exciting. It's really exciting, and they do a lot of screenings also throughout the year. I know they did a few online screenings as well. So you know, and they usually are free for students. So, you know, that's another opportunity to come and hang out at the campus and start building that community. Oh, I wanted to add one thing about the minor too. I think, you know, I mean, I wish in my days, I get to say that a lot more often now, but I wish in my days we have had that minor in it's just really good to be able to mix and match all kinds of different disciplines. Even so, if you are in social science, you can add a minor that's maybe in the humanities or in another area, and it just makes you that much more well-rounded, that much more able to look at one issue from different perspectives. And I think that's just an amazing opportunity. So definitely look into, of course, the LGBTQ minor, but all the different minors that are available. A lot of the minors are set up in a way to provide you with that more hands-on experience. Since we are a very research theory-based institution, oftentimes people are not sure how to put it into practice, and I think the minors really allow you to use a lot of that theoretical information and apply it to real life. So I highly encourage you to look at the minors. It really will not add that much. I mean, if you plan it well, it will not add more time to your time here at UCLA. I mean, we want to keep you here at UCLA as long as we can, but if you are, in a timeline and you want to make sure you get out of here in 2 years, very doable. I've seen students do it, 2 majors and a minor, and they still are able to do it within that 2-year period. So the average transfer student at UCLA stays here. The average is 2 years and 1 quarter. So, we definitely will ensure that you complete that degree. And the other good thing is that most transfer students at UCLA will graduate. And about 90% of students who enter transfer end up getting a degree from UCLA, which is a really good statistic when we compare it to the national statistic, which is a little over 69. It ranges between 68 to 70 most years, but we're definitely way above that. So and that's a testament to, again, the fact that as a transfer student, you're gonna just come here and slay, basically. I mean, you're gonna get it done, and that's not me wishful thinking. That's exactly what the data tells us. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about what type of education you want to get. Think also about how you can add more dimensions to that degree. Now I'll stop there, and I think we'll move on at this point. Hold on. All right, and I think, yeah, so Pedro.
Hello again, y'all. I have the pleasure of facilitating a panel today of 3 amazing QT BIPOC transfer scholars, right? So we'll go, oh, well, I should probably say your names, right? Brianna Perez, Michael Reed Ferman, Luca Guiduani, and I'm your facilitator. But first, before we start, we'll go by each one of y'all to give a brief introduction, if you would like, and we can start with Brianna.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Brianna Perez, and I am a rising senior here at UCLA. I transferred from College of the Canyons, and I am a current psychology major. And that's just a little bit about me.
Cool, thank you. Welcome, Brianna. Moving forward, Michael, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Also, it's a pleasure to be here. My pronouns are he, him, his. I actually graduated in 2017. I transferred from Cerritos Community College in Norwalk. I double majored in gender studies and African American studies with a minor in English. And I actually am one of the founders of the QT BIPOC space at the UCLA Campus Resource Center.
Wow, that's amazing. I did not know we had one of the founders of the QT BIPOC space. I have utilized this space during the pandemic, so that's great to have you here. And Luca, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'll just do a quick introduction. My names are Luca and Isa. My pronouns are they, he, and I'm currently a rising senior at UCLA. I transferred from East Los Angeles College in 2020 and am majoring in philosophy and double minoring in LGBTQ studies and gender studies. So yeah, hi everyone.
Awesome, welcome everyone. Great to have y'all. And so the first question to get us started, we'll go one by one again. And so let's start with Michael. Can you share why you took the community college route?
So I'm technically, I'm a 25 and up student. So I had actually dropped out of college at 18 and then worked at Disneyland, did my own thing, and then met a partner who was like, you either need to be in school or you need to get a job. So I jumped back into school, and 3 years later, I also have 2 AA degrees. I'm a Gemini, so I like to do things in twos. And that's kind of how I got back into school through community college.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's something I love about community college, right? In my experience in high school, right, people would like kind of degrade community college, but not like community college is a great resource for many people, many folks, a lot of our communities as well, right? So let's go with Luca. Can you share why you took the community college route?
So basically, when I was at the end of high school, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any resources at high school that helped me understand how to get to university. So all I really had was community college. I didn't have any other way to access an institution like UCLA. And in high school, I was always like dealing with counselors who would pretty much tell me like I wasn't going to go anywhere, you know? And so on top of that, I was also going through a really traumatic period in my life and was diagnosed with PTSD. And this was in 2017. And I started my community college journey at that time. And I was still kind of lost in the beginning, but I really quickly realized that there were resources for me there. And it was such a different space and like energy where like people were actually like, oh no, you could definitely do that. You know, like you could go wherever you want and we'll help you. And that was just so different, like to see. And honestly, like before, like I also held those stigmas about community college where it's like, oh, like, you know, community college is for losers or whatever. And I really quickly realized that that's like not true at all. And honestly, like I'm so thankful that I went to community college. Like I love ELAC so much and somehow I want to go back, but yeah, that's pretty much my little story.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing, Luca. And Brianna, can you share why you took the community college route?
Of course, thank you, Pedro, and thank you to the other speakers. Honestly, it's really insightful to hear these experiences. In my case, I was always a good student in school, and everyone was telling me, oh my goodness, Brianna, you're going to go to college. You've got to go to college. But the issue was back then, no one knew that my parents are undocumented, and although I come from a mixed status family, the biggest concern was if my parents' status would affect me going to school, or if anything, the main issue being financials. And there was a lot of stigma, in particular with the AP and honors classes that I took, where, I had a teacher openly mock people going to our local community college, saying that it was for people of lesser intelligence, just to put it politely. And I remember a certain disappointed look that he gave me when I couldn't say why I wasn't going to college, but I told him, oh, I didn't apply. So in secrecy from the rest of this social group, I applied to FAFSA. I went to these things along with my mom at the local community college. And as a first gen student, we were learning together in terms of getting me enrolled and getting me started there. And ever since then, I've been fully grateful for College of the Canyons. It's really done so much more, and it's helped me really believe in myself and believe that there was a path for someone like me and that I had agency and choice in it, which I will forever be thankful for.
Cool. Thank you all so much for sharing. Moving on to the next question, we can start with Michael. How did your race and or ethnicity, gender, sexual, cultural, or your other like multiple identities, right? How did that inform or impact your plans to transfer?
It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Impact my plans to transfer. I think they weren't necessarily a concern for me, just because I was like, I'm gonna get it. I was like, I'm gonna transfer, I'm gonna do it. Mom and dad aren't helping me. This is what I'm gonna do for myself. Now, was it brought up in my applications? Was it brought up in how I kind of moved through the world once I got to UCLA? Yes. But in planning around the transfer process, not really. That didn't really come into play until I guess after, and once I actually took a step back, I was like, oh yeah, these are all factors of why, most of us are transfer students and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
That's great, yeah. And Brianna, would you like to share how did your multiple identities impact your plans or inform your plans to transfer?
Truth be told, it wasn't something that became salient to me until as I began getting closer to transferring. And then in the middle of, first I initially graduated back in 2019. And my parents had told me, you know what, you should take a gap year. You still need to work on some life skills. And it was around that time that we were hoping that I would help them out with their legal status at the time. But it was during the Trump administration, so nothing really went through. But as I noticed throughout therapy and throughout a lot of assistance and a lot of outside help and friends that I was able to connect to through college, I began to realize I wasn't in a healthy situation where I was treated constantly with disrespect and often disregarded, which is why agency and choice has become something so valuable to me. So as a result, a lot of people were influencing me to really get out and explore to the best of my abilities. At that same time too, I was also coming to the head through that, realizing that, oh my goodness, I am queer. and aside from that, it was a turbulent time. It still can be, but I like to say that my identities haven't pushed me towards a certain direction, but I've learned things through these perspectives and through these identities that have allowed me to gain a certain level of empathy and a certain level of understanding among people in these groups.
Wonderful, yeah, thank you so much. And Luca, if you can answer the question as well about how your multiple identities may have informed or impacted your plans to transfer.
So when I think about that, I don't see maybe like a very direct way in which my identities impacted me, but I guess like what really came to mind is throughout like my entire community college, my time at community college, I was going through a lot. And I think a lot of that was connected to my identity, especially as queer and trans, but more specifically being trans. I was just having a really hard time with one of my friend groups that I've known since childhood. I had been friends with them for my whole life, basically. And during that time, I was going through like a really hard time because I came out as non-binary at first, and they didn't accept me. But then in that way, I think that like, you know, I guess this rejection kind of like led me to being more involved at school and kind of like distancing myself and searching for community at school. And I did, and I found Triple CP. So then that's where I found my, peer advisors who were both queer. And that was just like amazing. It was like just being like embraced and like, finally taking a step forward and being able to just be who I am. And then also like come into like a healthier, I think, like mindset so that I could transfer. Because I feel like what was holding me back too was just like, I think being held back by like the way my friends thought about me and didn't accept me for who I was. And eventually I did cut ties with them, and that was right when I transferred. So I think that's just, I don't know, it says a lot about like my transition from community college to UCLA.
Yeah, thank you all so much for sharing and sharing some stuff that can be very personal, right? And if I can briefly add, like I resonated, at least with me as a queer first gen Chicano, right, coming into college, barely graduating high school, right? It was really the people I met and the community I got involved with in community college who really allowed me, or was kind of like an outlet for me, to kind of explore myself more, right? And also linked me to resources to transfer, and which was also how I found Triple CP. And so moving on to the university, how has the university supported and welcomed you, or how has it not, as a transfer student of multiple intersecting identities? Brianna, would you like to start us off?
All right. So this is definitely a loaded question on its own too, because I will say the university has been very helpful to me, and I am grateful for that. But currently there are some issues that I've had as well, which, I tend to point as an opportunity to share to people how to advocate for yourself. It's definitely been more of a struggle as of late. But ever since I came to UCLA and I was being more open about what was going on at home, at the time I was stuck at home during the pandemic, and quite literally stuck at home. I didn't really have any outlets to go out with friends or anything of the sort. So even before then, so being open with throughout AAP and TSP, which was the Transfer Summer Program, I was connected to case managers, to counselors. I already was getting signed up through CAPS, which is the Counseling and Psychological Services here at UCLA. And they were really helping me navigate keeping my housing contract and getting me out and just making sure that I was doing well on each day, because as I was taking class, it became increasingly difficult to set boundaries with my parents while realizing that I have to act like I'm in school again. I can't be completely indisposable to them. Meanwhile, while I was out here, the biggest concern was also going back home and just going back during turbulent times during the holidays. And the college has definitely helped me out with being able to afford meal plans and food assistance, which was the biggest thing that helped me stay here and make sure that everything was okay for my mental well-being and physical well-being. And I wanted to continue that pattern throughout the summer. However, I've been having issues, honestly, with the financial aid office that I am currently working to resolve. But as I mentioned before, it's an issue of making sure that my voice is heard and making sure that I'm being spoken, that I'm speaking out as clearly as I can about my issue, that it's being recognized.
That's right, yeah. And so, Michael, how do you feel the university has supported and welcomed, or how is it not, as a transfer student of multiple intersecting identities?
Well, one of my nicknames was Team Too Much when I was a student because I was highly involved. I think the university did a great job in supporting me, and I'm technically still a grad student at San Jose State University, and I actually compare my experience there to UCLA, and it's far different and not as great, just because I don't feel the same level of support there than I do when I was at UCLA. So I started the QT BIPOC space, which allowed me to also be in spaces where I got to talk to administrators. So I was talking to donors of the LGBTQ Center. I was talking to Jean Block. I was talking to other administrators, making sure that my Black, gay, transfer student identities all were being accounted for, and everything else. I was also part of they actually tapped student leaders for the UCLA 5-year plan. And I made sure that they knew that transfer students, we only get 1 day of orientation while freshmen get 3. And I was like, that is not fair. So I was in spaces, and I was making sure that they knew that they could do more. So as I said, I was afforded some luxury and I was actually also on the hiring committee for the current police chief. I did not pick him, but I actually was in that space, and I was asking questions as well. So I made sure that all of my intersections were seen in every space that I was in, and made sure that they were always addressed and accounted for by administrators and those I was always in contact with.
Wow, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That also serves as a reminder of how a lot of on-campus movements, a lot of progress that has been made on campuses were started by or led by QT BIPOC students, right? In this case, QT BIPOC transfer students, right? And so, Luca, how do you feel the university has supported and welcomed you, or how is it not, as a transfer student of multiple intersecting identities?
Okay, so I'll start with the way the university has supported me. So I would say that it actually started before I transferred to UCLA, but more specifically Triple CP. I honestly give so much credit to Triple CP and of course myself still. But honestly, like, they supported me so much on getting here, and even now, like, that I'm here, and that support just continues. And a huge part of it too is that being in Triple CP and then transferring to UCLA, I was automatically placed into AAP, which is the Academic Advancement Program. So through that, I heard about the transfer summer program. So I was kind of set, like, coming into UCLA, I kind of had that like support already. And honestly, like, the transfer summer program solidified just like a lot of things for me at UCLA. I met so many people, I networked a lot, and to this day we all still have a group chat and talk, and one of my best friends, or two of my best friends, are from TSP. So I'm so thankful for that program. And furthermore, of course, the UCLA LGBTQ Campus Resource Center, I utilized the QT BIPOC affinity space as well throughout the quarters. And I think that was just such a like welcoming and safe space for me, especially because I was like going through a lot at that moment too. I'm always going through something. But anyways, and then also lastly, TransUp. So that's Transgender UCLA Pride, and I love that space as well, but I learned about it much later. So I only joined it pretty recently, and I'm very glad I found it, but I wish I had known about it before. So then on the other end, oh, okay, so the way the university has not supported me, that's like a huge one, honestly. But I'll just name a few small things here and there. I do deal with like constant dead naming. That's just like a thing, like from, I guess, like on the technical side. um I'll get dead named a lot when I message UCLA's, like, I don't know, offices or whatever. And I also had a really bad experience with the professor one time. And it was really bad. Like I can't even talk about it, but I guess like a small thing that happened, which is still really bad, was that I had to, he requested me to go to office hours and question me about my identity. He asked me like, what's up with your pronouns? And ever since then, I kind of don't feel comfortable using my pronouns anymore on screen. So that's like a huge like failure on UCLA's part, I think, because they did not support me after that. And I had to go through Title IX, and I dealt with Title IX for months, and it was just a mess, honestly, and no support, no like, I don't know, therapy or anything. It was kind of just like, okay, like we got what we needed from you to like deal with this, but you're on your own. So I think that was kind of like the biggest like mistake or failure on UCLA's end.
Right. Thank you again for sharing. So yeah, it's evident that like although there has been many improvements, progress, right? There's still a lot of ways that our community is harmed in institutionally, right? And so the next question, we can start with Michael. Y'all have taken on leadership roles on campus, right? So my question is why? Like, why have y'all done all this work, all this involvement? And a follow-up question, how can staff and faculty amplify your voices without co-opting?
I mean, we go to a school which is the land of overachievers, A. B, if you're not going to do it, who will? So that's kind of why I was team too much. And I know probably everyone who is sitting on this panel wears multiple hats, because we care that much to make a difference on that campus. And we want to make sure that students who come behind us don't have it as hard as we do. And which is, something that, if you look at civil rights movements and all these different types of movements, that's always been that mantra. We always want to make it better for those who come after us. So I think that is why we take on these leadership roles, and we just are highly involved as long as we are at UCLA. That is a great question about faculty and staff not co-opting stuff. So for the Cutie BIPOC space, when we initially started it and everything, I was very grateful that we were given the latitude to that was our safe space. And Raja, the former director, allowed us to and they were like, oh, nope, they're in there, leave them alone. And so we were actually given that freedom. But I have heard of other places and spaces where, that freedom isn't necessarily always given. And I just wish, also, I wish that sometimes faculty would just support us and would just allow, and because one of the things that I did was we actually had a panel of queer faculty and staff. And I mean, I was a little sad that not many people attended, but I was at least happy that some people actually responded. But I wish that would be more of a normal thing, and that faculty would champion different things that are going on campus instead of just their research and what latest book that they're about to present or whatever new class that they're trying to construct. I wish they would actually be like, oh, you know what, this group is having this thing, why not attend or whatever. So so that is something that is probably going to be always in conversation about faculty, especially staff is a little bit different, they're not as busy, quote unquote, maybe. So but I always expect more from people, so I just hope that they would amplify students' voices more. That way we could actually, move the culture, campus climate and culture forward to a more positive direction.
Right, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And Brianna, so why have you taken up leadership roles on campus, and how can staff and faculty amplify our voices without co-opting them?
Admittedly, I don't necessarily feel like a leader. I know that's probably the imposter syndrome talking, but I found myself in positions like TPAW, and even as a community tutor with Bruin Corps and other things of the sort, where it's more so on the academic side, but nevertheless, this environment that I've seen provides the opportunity to really live to that expectation that I've set for myself, is to pay forward the good that was given towards me. And that's really what I would like to do every day as I can throughout my experience here at UCLA and onward. As for faculty, I mean, what's been great about UCLA, it's that they facilitated these spaces for us to share our experiences, and I am grateful for that. But however, I'm not sure if they're given the same amount of value and attention, because especially as transfers, we really don't get that same focus. As new admits, as freshmen do. So it's just something that the school continues to struggle with. And I would definitely like to see more change to help transfers find community on campus and continue to contribute to said community.
Right, thank you. And Luca, why have you decided to take up leadership roles, and how can staff and faculty amplify voices without co-opting?
So to put it very simply, I think it's a necessity. You get to UCLA and you start to see what programs, organizations, and students are prioritized and which ones aren't. Especially when it comes to transfers, I tend to see freshmen are definitely prioritized over us. For example, with housing this upcoming year, UCLA had offered sophomores guaranteed housing, but not second-year transfers, even though we're at our last year. So we had to advocate for ourselves to get that housing, and we did. But yeah, like I think that's like a perfect example of like why it's important to, take the lead. And I think a way in which staff and faculty can amplify our voices, also to put it very simply, is that they just need to listen to us and trust us. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's right, yeah. As transfer students, and particularly QT BIPOC transfer students, right? As transfer students, we're already like a second thought or like an afterthought, right? But within our communities, that can have sometimes pretty extreme implications, right? That we may experience. And so the next question, what are your plans after you graduate, and how has your campus assisted you or not to reach those goals? Michael, can we start with you?
Sure. So I am totally not doing what I want to do at the current moment. So I am an outreach and prevention educator for a healthcare center here in the northwestern suburbs of Chicago. And so I actually outreach towards Black and Latinx men who have sex with men. That's the phrase for prevention on HIV and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's interesting how I kind of just stumbled into this, but the goal actually is to be a professor. That's why I'm in the last forays of my master's degree in English, and hope to pursue a PhD in either English or American Studies. And I actually got a lot of help from the Career Center with like resume writing, with personal statement help and whatnot. And actually, she no longer works for the Career Center now, but Erin, she like, I wouldn't have to make appointments with her. She's like, okay, she's like, just when are you free? Okay, just come into my office and we'll work it out. And so, you know, hopefully there's still people like that in the Career Center that will help. But I also took a gap year, and so actually how I got into grad school was just on a whim. I just literally was like, okay, I was like, I need something to do, so let me just apply, and miraculously I actually got in. So, but you know, UCLA helped me on this journey, and I know that I could probably reach out to someone and I would get the assistance that I need, especially for that.
That's great. Yeah, I hope you, I wish you well in your journey on becoming a professor. Students would be very lucky to have you. I know I would love, already knowing you, I would love to be a student of yours. What about you, Brianna? What are your plans after you graduate, and how's your campus assisted you or not to reach those goals?
Oh, thank you, Pedro. And honestly, I hope you'll do great with your plans, Michael. I wish you all the luck in the world. As for my own plans, it's a bit rocky right now because I'm not sure what direction I want to go with, but I do know I want to go to graduate school. That is a definite with my degree so far. I'm either looking at a clinical psychology PhD program or a counseling psychology PhD program with the specificity on working with children and adolescents, because I feel like with my own unique perspective as a survivor of, well, to be frank, emotional abuse within families, I would like to be able to not only share my story, but provide that perspective to grow that specific area of research, especially among Latinx families. I found that it's just very under-researched and very underspoken about. And you know, ideally, what I would like to work towards is not only providing clinical care specific to these communities, but also perhaps engage with families in terms of prevention and talking about these wider conversations over why these issues occur in these communities. But for the immediate goals, I suppose I know I'm going to be focusing on taking a gap year after graduating from UCLA, or a couple of gap years, in where that I would like to apply to more labs and just gain more research experience while excuse me, while developing my career experience, either working with children or continuing tutoring like I have. I'm quite comfortable with that position. And part of that also includes finding secure housing to maintain that distance from family, which has been a bit of a struggle. But you know, with organizations here like AAP, my counselor Angel, he's been amazing with me and just helping encourage me go and look into research programs and just improve on my honors classes and just keep me on track. I'm thankful for him. And then there's the GUM mentorship program, which is the undergraduate mentorship program. And my graduate mentor was really help in just demystifying grad school for the first gen that I am. And, you know, I have a bit more distinct plans to way back when I started last winter, where I'm like, I don't know what grad school is, but I know I need this. And so far it's been communities like that, professors, TAs. if you reach out, people are more than happy to share their experiences, what worked with them, and maybe what could work for you. And, you know, that's something that I've always really appreciated about here at UCLA, is that people are willing to pay for their knowledge and their experiences to you to help you achieve your goals and your dreams. It's admirable.
Yeah, you remind me of how networking is very important, right? And in terms of networking, like y'all are in the right place, right? In Triple CP, Triple CP can also be a great networking source. What about you, Luca? What are your plans after you graduate, and how has your campus assisted you or not to reach those goals?
So I'm like in a similar boat where I'm like not entirely sure, but I do also know that I want to pursue graduate school and hopefully somewhere within gender and or ethnic studies, and also continue my work with QT BIPOC communities with an emphasis on survivorship and healing. Just because growing up, I didn't have much support as someone who was queer, trans, and a person of color, and also living with PTSD. So I had to learn to navigate my traumas on my own. But throughout the way, I also realized that I could utilize my healing narratives to support other QT BIPOC in their healing journeys. So I think that's something I definitely want to continue to do. And in regard to how my campus has assisted me, I guess I'll just definitely credit Triple CP again, like for the 100th time. Yeah, Triple CP has just been here for me, honestly, through it all, like since 2019 or 2018, all the way till now. And then of course the LGBTQ Campus Resource Center. I have an internship there, and I think that's also just like amazing. And I feel like I've really been challenging myself a lot during my time at UCLA, because honestly like I'm a shy person. But during my time here, I started like volunteering with like organizations. I was an ambassador for CARE, which is Campus Assault Resources and Education Program. And then I found the QT BIPOC space, and I'm going to be facilitating that next year. And then I'm also going to be directing TPAW next year because I participated this year, and just like so many opportunities are coming and going. But yeah, that's been really amazing, and just like meeting people and networking, I think that's the biggest one. Just like social spaces, honestly, like TSP also, I'm gonna credit that too, because we do a lot of resource sharing. So I think, yeah, just like all the people I've met, I guess my campus has provided me with people. I don't know. But yeah, and I'm wishing the best to all of us. I hope we all get to where we want to be.
Yes, I wish everyone here and on this call the best on whether it's transferring, whether it's completing this summer semester or starting coming to college, whatever it may be. I wish all of us a great journey ahead, right? And so we have one more question, two more questions, but one of them is specifically for Michael. And then we'll end off with the question for all. But for Michael, since you have graduated, what is one thing that you would want other QT BIPOC transfer students to know that you wish you had known?
I guess it would be microaggressions are real. Microaggressions come in various shapes and forms, from professors to, to fellow classmates, and whatnot. But don't be afraid to take up that space. Don't be afraid to be all of yourself in that space and challenge the whiteness that is trying to impose itself onto you. Also, make sure, I think I did this innately, make sure you have a chosen family or community on that campus. Because those are the people who you will probably be venting to about some crazy something or another that a professor done said, or some class member said that you have to get them together. Class of 2017, when I tell you, we used to read and drag some white women, especially as gender studies students. Like it was bad because there was like 8 of us, all of us Black, all of us queer. And I remember Jewel can attest to this. There was one time we were in a classroom and it was about welfare, and it was the first day of class, and she said something, when I tell you, me and 3 other people read her for filth. And we are still all friends to this day. But all I'm saying is make sure you have that community, because UCLA is no joke. The quarter system goes fast, and you are gonna, as the former transfer coordinator Heather used to say, you're gonna hit the ground running, and it is legit. You are going to hit the ground running, and if you don't do the reading your first day, you are probably gonna be behind. But make sure that you have a community, because they're going to get you through UCLA. They're going to help you to succeed. And usually those are the people who you'll most likely make lifelong friendships with. So I think that's what I wish I knew before I transferred. Luckily, I'm a fast learner, so I was able to get all those things very, very quickly when I actually came into UCLA.
Right. Thank you so much for passing down that knowledge to all of us. And so lastly, the last question, how have you made community or been in community with other QT BIPOC transfer students at UCLA during the pandemic? And we can start with Brianna.
Well, what really fascinated me about this school was immediately with the outreach, just welcoming me first as a new transfer way back in 2020 to the TPAW event then. And although I remember locking myself in my room, headphones in, I attended in secrecy among my household, but I still found it a very comforting and a very welcoming space, even online. And from there, I met people like Ajana and many other amazing transfers. And from there on, I didn't realize that she was actually living here on campus. So we actually reached out, and from there, she introduced me to the QT BIPOC space, to TPAW, and many other spaces that, although I try to attend as much as I can, it can be very difficult with just the demands of being a student here. But ever since that, I've been really grateful with just having that community and reaching out to other people who have that shared experience, and in that sense, coming into that aspect of myself being queer. So yeah, I really love that about this campus.
Right, that's wonderful. And Michael, how have you been in community with other QT BIPOC transfer students, or if you're not at UCLA no more, maybe QT BIPOC students in your grad program or.
Ooh, okay, so I am the only. Am I the only one? I think I am. I think I am the only one in my program. So I kind of just hold the torch there. But some of the QT BIPOC people that I have met through UCLA, we have been in constant conversation. I have actually made friends via Twitter, and just to talk, and actually, we might actually be visiting one another soon, just to actually be in physical communion with one another. And then, you know, I mean, I also have a boyfriend who I live with, who is, you know, of color. So, you know, and he also is a great sounding board for some of this stuff and helps calm me down when, you know, things get a little crazy. So I think that's kind of how I've kind of maintained community throughout this pandemic. So, and I hope to continue to maintain these relationships and stuff. So yeah.
Cool, thank you. And Luca, how have you made community or been in community with other QT BIPOC transfer students at UCLA during the pandemic?
So I would say I'll say social media. Honestly, like I feel like a lot of people started using Instagram a lot, like organizations and clubs. And I think that's how I've been like connected with like what's going on at UCLA in terms of like, you know, clubs and meetings and stuff and like social spaces. So because of that, I've been like pretty involved still, even though we're like, you know, everything's virtual. I have still been going to a lot of meetings and just meeting new people and kind of like just testing out waters. And I'm just like, oh, you know, yeah, like just meeting and networking with people, and like we're everywhere, you know, like it's not just like all concentrated in one space. So like maybe I'll take a class and there will be one other student or something, but you know, there's still one student that like I'll get to meet and like talk to. And I feel like usually they're transfer students. So that's been really cool. Like I'll take a gender studies classes or LGBTQ studies classes, and even in philosophy. Philosophy is a bit different, but yeah, like I've met a few, so that's really cool. And yeah, I would also say Twitter. I think Twitter is a big one. That's pretty embarrassing, but yeah.
Don't be embarrassed about Twitter.
It's so
Cool.
chaotic.
What about MySpace?
MySpace?
Just
It was
kidding.
on MySpace. Cool, thank y'all for sharing. That concludes all the questions we had for y'all. Y'all were amazing. Thank y'all so much for sharing your experiences and all of your knowledge, right? It was a pleasure facilitating the panel.
Thank you so much, Pedro, and all of you. It's just so, I don't even know. I don't even have the words to put it. Is that QT BIPOC magic that happens when, you know, when we're in community, and we just, I don't know, just you know, I'm tired and I am not tired at the same time. It's like it's just a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. For me, this is always the part the best, when I get to hear your voices and when I get to hear your you know, your narratives, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome, and you just always affirm what I already know. I already know this in my heart, but you know, it's just always affirms that I'm in the right place with the right folks, and that we continue to build on that legacy. I mean, you, Michael, started that space. You're now occupying it and making sure that it continues. And then we have some folks who are coming, you know, who will be coming very soon as well, and you know, expand and change it and make it, you know, relevant to what their experiences are, which are different than, you know, when I went to school 3,000 years ago. So you know, that's so it's exciting. It's exciting to see what you all do, and that hope is alive in each of you, and that's just a beautiful thing to see. So thank you. I can tell you that just from this 1 hour, I feel like in cloud nine right now. Like I feel so happy and joyful. So thank you. All right. Let's see. I know we're a little past time where we needed to finish. There's a few things that we're gonna cover before we move to the last part, but let me see. We are going to just tell you about our next webinar, which is taking place on Monday. And Aurelia, as she mentioned earlier, she is the STEM coordinator. Aurelia, do you want to say anything about our upcoming webinar?
Oh my God, yeah. I'm like, why did I just get nervous? So for our webinar Monday is going to be the STEM webinar. It's the second one of the two-part series. So on Monday, we'll be talking about we'll be having a journal club workshop. So if you are STEM and you're not familiar with what journal club is where there's kind of like a workshop type setting where a very dense scientific article will be dissected, and then you'll be given resources and tools on how to efficiently read and understand dense articles of that magnitude in a shorter amount of time. So you won't spend like hours and hours and hours reading or trying to understand a 35-page paper, for example. So that's something that we are going to be doing because we do realize that's something that's very useful for STEM students and not always offered at the community college level. And then next we will have the hidden curriculum workshop in STEM. So we're inviting Dr. Michael Rodriguez, who's a professor in public health department, as well as David Geffen School of Medicine, to talk about the hidden curriculum in STEM, about the things that students who are transfer students, first generation, low income students don't always know about college, and how to navigate STEM as a person of color. And then we'll end the day with a STEM graduate student panel. So we have invited some PhD candidates from the Chem and Biochem department to talk about their experience and share any tips and tools that they have with students in regards to pursuing a PhD and what that entails and how to go about that, especially when they're still in community college. That's pretty much the day.
Thank you. Sounds like fun. All right, so then next webinars, we have a whole bunch of them still coming up. So, you know, it's a number of them that are taking place. So you are welcome to come to any of them and you know, join and continue to build on this community. Again, our intent is to not only provide you with those skills that are going to help you in reaching whatever transfer goals you may have, but also to expand and to build on that, so that, you know, when you get, whether it's here or at any other institution that you decide to go to, as Michael mentioned, you will hit that ground running. But you know, you'll know exactly, you know, which track you're going to be running on, because you're going to have an idea of, you know, this is what you should be expecting. So we're focusing on these communities, but in addition to that, throughout the year, we're going to also focus on the application process. We're going to focus on the, you know, how to fund the education and, you know, not be as, you know, stressed about that aspect of this. How to, you know, basically hustle for that money, so that you're not being preoccupying yourself with that aspect, while you should be, you know, be preoccupied more with, you know, with what you came to here, right? To learn, right? So and then lastly, we also look at what other things can enhance your experience here at the university, whether that's, you know, research, internships, community work, activism, you know, the joy of, you know, whatever you define as joy, whether it's music, whether it's food, what have you, you know, all those different things that will make the experience at UCLA a good experience. As I mentioned earlier, we do well in terms of ensuring that you graduate from here. But we also want to make sure that in that process of completing that degree, that you also have a very rich and rewarding experience as well. And that the university experience, not just the classroom experience, it's also all those other things. And hopefully that will include soon traveling abroad, as well. So that's also something that we encourage you to do as well if you can. We do have the group me. So this is a great way for us to inform you of upcoming activities, of when we find out about any type of scholarships, we post it on the group me. If we have if you have questions that you kind of just want to get some feedback, it's really your virtual space, and in a lot of ways you're creating that community that that you are going to transfer with at the same time. So again, that's another way in which we can continue these conversations. And these spaces you can ask any questions. You can really just make it whatever you feel it should be. And then we will have some peer advising circles after this. And this will be an opportunity for you to, I know for some of us, being able to be asking questions, or just in a larger room is not necessarily the most conducive way for you to ask questions, or be able to process some of the stuff that we presented today. So this is just an opportunity for you to have a smaller circle where you can ask some of the peer advisors anything that you want to ask, or to not ask anything and just get to know what the peer advisors do here as well. So really, just we want to provide that opportunity. And then we have raffle time. And raffle time will include a few t-shirts that are some from the Transfer Center, and a couple of them from CCCP, Power to the Transfer. They also will include, so we're gonna do five prizes. Two of them are gonna include also, I'm not wearing the right cap, but it's a UCLA cap. So that will be part of it. And then we also have Luca, for 3 of them.
Yeah, so I was going to originally raffle a necklace, but I think I'm gonna leave the choice up to whoever wins the item, and it'll be any item from vinitos.com. So yeah, you could look around and see.
Which she is the owner and artistic creator of. So yeah, this will be great. So let's start that. And thank you everyone for reminding me about what I asked you to remind me. No one reminded me. But okay, I actually didn't remember this time. I was able to enter the names. And let's see, I'm gonna make sure that I did not miss any of our guests in the list. So if for whatever reasons I did not include your name.
Wait, I'm not on. Oh, I am on there.
I was like, Ajana, didn't you get an iPad or something like that? I forgot what you got at the other one.
I got earpods.
Don't worry, I got you, girl. I got you, girl. Don't worry. All right. So let's take it first, Spency. We're gonna do 5. You do have to be present in order to claim the prize. And then I'm gonna ask. Let's see. Alejandro, what's up? El Tóxico. What's up?
El Tóxico.
I was just gonna ask if you needed like time to input the names. I was just gonna talk about the other summer webinars that we have, but you're good.
Okay. Can I ask one of you to just take the name down of the people who will get the prize so that we can follow up with them?
Yeah, I could do it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And here we go. All right, Kenya, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, excellent. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Here we go. Number 2. All right, Anthony. Anthony, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Number 3. Wow, that was very almost in the middle. Ulysses?
Hi.
All right. Number 4. All right. Gian?
Gian, thank you very much.
All right. And number 5. Connor.
Hi.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all of you, for just hanging out with us. And again, what we hope is this is just the beginning, and that we'll be seeing each other soon. I'm going to ask. Let's see who. Let me make sure. Is Tracy here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tracy. Sarah?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, excellent. So it's going to be Tracy, Sarah, Luca, and Pedro who are going to do this circle. Let me see. What do we have in the room? Alejandro, are you staying or are you leaving?
No, I have to stay. Yeah, I could be paired up with someone if someone wants that too, or Harbor is easy.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So let me make sure that everyone has the questions that Alejandro shared earlier for this part of the webinar. And if not,
I got him. I could message him to the peer advisors.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Did Adana leave already? Damn, she didn't. She was like, I'm not gonna be in the raffle. I'm leaving.
I'm not in the raffle. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm like, hey, this is true though. Okay, so if you want to also hang out with some of the students, we'll put everyone into a room. So it looks like we have about 14 students, and there's 6 of you. So I'll do I think I'll do 3 rooms, so there can be 2 of you in each of the rooms, peer advisors, and then I'll have about 4 or 5 students each of you, so that it can be small. All right, Alejandro.
Yes.
Since you did this yesterday, can I just make you host?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Got you.
Appreciate you. And thank you, all of you. And thank you to the peer advisors and the full-time staff for being here today. And there's no more I can say. It's a beautiful thing to be here, and I hope to continue getting to know you better, and walking along this journey that you're taking in the transfer process. So thank you everyone for staying and for being here and for being present, and we'll connect soon. All right, Alejandro, I'm making you host now.
Sale, vale. El tóxico.
El tóxico. Okay. All right. Have a great one. And we will continue this conversation soon. Take care, and take care of each other as well. Much love to you all.
Bye.
Bye.
You're muted.
You just saved my life, whoever said that. Thank you so much. Like I said, everybody, please stick around. We have a really cool program right now for you all, where you'll be able to connect with other peer advisors. You'll be able to ask them any questions, about just getting, like, how is it at UCLA, how to get supported and all that. So give me 1 segundo, and I'll break you into breakout rooms right now.
I have one major question. Are we going with our peer advisor that's going to be our peer advisor from here on out, or are we just going with the peer advisor just to chat?
That's a great question. That it would be your we haven't assigned peer advisors yet, so it would be just one of the peer advisors from like that work for CCP as of right now. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good. Okay. Can the peer advisors please message me on the chat? Just put your names, just like that. I could break y'all into groups. Yeah, just put it in the chat really quick. Just be like, I'm here. Great, just for me to know. Okay. All right. Four. Okay, we got 4 peer advisors. All right. I should be splitting you into Pedro. All right, we are good. So I'm gonna open up these rooms. Are we gonna continue recording?